Good evening to all you out there in Broncos country. This is the Orange and Blue View, and we are just going to wait 1 second while all the streams go live. And when we do that, we will kick off the show. All right, we are going to talk about Russell Wilson's big day today and why it was to be expected, especially after all the hand-wringing we had over the interceptions he was throwing. I've got Ron White here, my co-host with me. I'm Thomas Hall, and we are going to talk Broncos camp, specifically about Russell Wilson. But before we do that, we're going to grab a couple folks who've been waiting early to come in here. We're going to grab David McGilrath, of course. David, thank you so much for coming in, as always, with the support. Thank you for the super chat. Good evening. Broncos country says Lance Eric Dillon and Deacon Scott. Of course, that was incorrect, and you corrected it, saying sorry, Tom and Ron. Oops, it happens. You know, you watch enough of these shows, you get kind of you can forget who's actually on tonight. But again, you're coming with the 12-5 prediction, the Buckham ×3, Mile High Huddle for life, and Denver Broncos for life. So thank you for being here, David. Really appreciate it, and thanks for the extra love for getting that. It was Ron and I tonight, but we've got a great show for you. You know, we're going to talk camp. I was out there. I spent several days out there with Luke Patterson. We both saw quite a bit, quite a few players that we observed, so good and bad. So if you have any questions about specific players or specific position groups, tonight is a great night to talk about it. All right, Ron, how are you doing tonight? We'll grab a couple more comments in just a second, but say hi to the folks, and how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Great Saturday. I have some family in town, and we were out enjoying this hot weather here in Atlanta, but so far so good. And I am encouraged on today's topic. And as you mentioned, Thomas, it is to be expected, especially with how Peyton envisioned the installment period and how Russell Wilson is supposed to look. So it is very encouraging news hearing how he performed in camp, and it could only get better from here. But yeah, so far so good. And I do have a few other players as well that shine, just not on day 10, but just throughout the whole camp. Some players that were kind of quiet in the beginning that we saw kind of, take that next step between like day 5 and day 10. So it's a lot of good and encouraging news for Broncos country for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, and Kevin Gray was in here early. Thank you, Kevin, for being here, saying evening to Thomas, Kevin. Ron, and Scott. My take on this camp is they're installing new O, and they are practicing ages at least top 10 against the top 10 D. I think they're fine. Kevin, that's a very astute point, really. I mean, that's why this whole hand-wringing, like I said, about Russell Wilson's interceptions is a little bit overblown, right? Yeah, he threw picks. You throw this is when you do throw the picks. You're testing things out. Plus, you're installing a new offense. You have a new offensive line that actually hadn't even come together up until just a few days ago. So this whole offense hasn't even worked together as a unit. And as Mark Schlett said the other day, they're running plays, not the offense. So once you get scrimmage going, once you see preseason, when you can see the running game, right, where they're actually using the running game to set up the passes. Right now, they're not really going full contact. I mean, a little bit. They got full pads on. They kind of pop each other, but it's not the same thing. So as Russell Wilson is trying to get the feel for this new offense, get the feel for plays that work and don't work, he's going to throw interceptions, but he has been improving. I sat out there for several days and I watched each day. His progress got better, which is what you wanted to see. Because if they'd have come out, Ron, and been firing on all cylinders, people would have been like, oh, well, something's wrong because they're doing too good in camp, right? So that, for me, it's to be expected. But we'll get into what he did today in just a moment. I'm going to grab a couple other guests here tonight coming in.
Yeah,
Ernie Mays.
Before you go, Thomas. Yeah.
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
Yeah. Going back to Kevin's point, Kevin, it is overblown, the fact that Russell Wilson is throwing these picks. And, that's where you throw the picks, right? So to kind of look at those mistakes and correct them. And everyone knows going into training camp, the defense is always ahead of the offense. So, Justin Simmons, I think what he had to pick almost every day in camp, that's to be expected, right? Patrick Surtain looking like the all-pro corner that we know. That this defense, and it is a tough and stout defense, is going to be hard to move the ball against. So that's to be expected. But what I like what Peyton is doing, Thomas, is the one-on-one drills, the 7-on-7 drills, and one of my favorites, the 9-on-7 drills, which kind of emphasizes that running game with the, all the O linemen and D linemen, just kind of the running back running in their lanes. I like that focus. But yeah, it's to be expected. But now, as we saw today, that, after that installation period, and now that Russell Wilson is studying the playbook, he's changing up, and doing the audibles at the line, that execution seems to be getting better and better.
Yeah, absolutely. Give shout out to Ernie. Thanks for coming in here tonight, Ernie. Appreciate it. Saying hello to us. And Scott's off. It's a Saturday, so we appreciate your time spending here on your Saturday night. So thank you so much for being here.
Yes.
Appreciate it. And of course, he says, "Go Broncos, country only." That's right.
Yes.
We are only rooting for the Broncos for sure. But we definitely aren't just fans, right? We go out there and we will dissect them, good or bad. And I saw some players out there. I've got some camp day notes out there about players, good and bad, some that look good, some that don't. Luke Patterson, same thing. And we'll call it out. If they weren't looking good, then they're going to get called out, because we're going to take those three players popping out for whatever reason, or other players. So I want to give a shout out to Harold Jean as well, coming in saying, if I'm not allowed to react to Russ's 9 bad days, we're not reacting to his 1 good day. Yeah, it's true. Like, it's overreacting either way, right? Don't start chanting MVP, because I tweeted that out. Like, are those people that are all upset about his interceptions? But I will tell you this, it wasn't quite 9 bad days. He has gotten better. He had a couple good days leading up to this, which is what we keep saying, what's to be expected. So thank you, Harold, for coming in. Got David Youngkin also dropping by, saying even in Broncos country. So thank you so much. And our guy Phil McLaughlin coming in with Facebook stars. So thank you for the support, Phil. We really, really appreciate it, as always. But like I said, and like we always say, is so your time is more valuable than anything. So thank you for being here. And he says, good evening, Thomas, Ron, and Deacon Scott. Russ and the offense looked much improved today. Buckham, go Broncos. They absolutely did. And it was accentuated, obviously. Everyone's talking about that 53-yard bomb at the end in the 2-minute drill that went to Judy. Perfectly thrown ball. I mean, Russell Wilson has a great deep ball. He really does. And you can't really, I mean, it would be tough to argue against that, because he's shown in the past he has a great deep ball, but he laid that right into in the perfect spot, because Damari Mathis, I believe, was in coverage, and he actually had pretty decent coverage. He got beat a little bit, but not bad. It was just such a great ball. But it wasn't just that play, Ron. Like, we're talking about other plays that he did today that were really good, and some other plays that were pretty good, the day before when I was out there, and the day before that. So that's the big news, though, the big pass, right, Ron? But I mean, what are your thoughts on that pass in general?
It was beautiful. As you mentioned, he's, in my mind, the best deep ball thrower still in the NFL, or at least he's up there top 3. So that pass was beautiful, just right on the money to Judy, just laid it perfectly. And I want to call out a few other things, Thomas, because that was the highlight of the day. But what I enjoyed was how he just led the on time and the on target throws down the field in a lot of those one-on-one drills, right? Getting the ball out quick, because that's been a knock on Russell Wilson. He holds on to that ball way too long. So that release time of the football was very quick. Again, understanding Peyton's offense and that play selection with those designs, that execution with some of those play calls I like. And then the emphasis on, some of those high level reads, that smash concept. So, all of that, and in communication with Lombardi and Webb, you could see it just being executed beautifully on the field. So again, those are my takeaways from what I've seen in a lot of those one-on-one drills. Again, just those fine, focus on the details
That's right.
coming to fruition. But again, hopefully we'll see, as camp does progress, even sharper execution.
Yeah, and I'm going to talk about a little bit about Russell Wilson's passing in just a second after I say hi to
Yep.
Michaela
Yeah,
coming
Caleb.
in saying good evening, Broncos country. Thanks for being here, Michaela. David Slosher was just, I just brought his comment up. Jack Whipfler is in the house. Thank you so much, saying I enjoy listening to you guys. Well, thank you. I'm glad that you do, because this show is going to get really, really into a lot of things people want to hear coming up on day before game day. So stick around with it. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. Todd Ostendorf, what's up, Broncos country? Thanks for being here, Todd. Appreciate it. Got Rodney Garcia's also coming in saying good evening, Thomas and Ron in Broncos country. So thank you guys. And what I'll just say right about Russell Wilson, we know he can throw the deep ball really well. We know he likes to rely on the running game, but what we were seeing out there is Russell Wilson is doing a lot more dropping back and trying to get the ball out quickly. And like you said, he has had a problem with that. But there's emphasis on that this year. More quick passing, more getting the ball out of his hands sooner. And I also saw that progress as camp went along too. You could see that he was kind of holding the ball too long, but he's starting it. And that's the whole thing about camp, right? It is practice. It's not, you're not, and I think people get this whole practice makes perfect kind of mentality out there that you have to be perfect in practice. But really, practice is also to determine, what's bad, right? Like you go out there and you make a mistake. Okay, well, maybe we should, if you keep making that bad throw in a certain spot, maybe that shouldn't be part of the game plan, right? So there's a lot of feeling out, but I'll say this. People were upset, rightfully so, because it looked like he was not doing well for the first several days, but he's getting better. So I think that he's actually right where he should be, right? And he'll probably have another bad day, right? As camp goes, and people will be like, I told you that was a fluke. But as long as he's progressing, and not falling too far back, you sometimes take a step back and you take a step forward. So I think it's okay. And I'm not going to get too hyped up about his great day today, but I'm not also going to get too upset about his bad days.
Yes. And as I mentioned, Thomas, it's encouraging. And you do expect, listen, guys, all quarterbacks are going to have bad days at camp. Even Mahomes probably has a few bad days at camp. So it's camp for a reason. And also, it's nice to let the defense have some shine too. Right? I know this is, a top flight defense and it's expected to play at that level, but to see it out on the field and camp, we want to make sure that this defense kind of remains at that elite level. So Justin Simmons making plays, Surtain breaking up passes, that's something we also want to see as well.
Yeah. I'll tell you, Pat Surtain the second, man, if you can imagine him getting even better, that's what he looks like in camp, even better than last season. He was incredible out there. The wide receivers had to work hard to catch passes against, and so did Russell. He had to throw a perfect ball. It was amazing. He is one of my superstars. So go check out milehighhuddle.com. There's 3 of them that I wrote about that I saw the first week or so of practice. They were awesome. So, and Pat Surtain's one of them. Now, I don't know who this is, Facebook user. I'm sure it's somebody, but that we know, and I'm sorry that I can't see who it is to give you a shout out, but saying, good evening, Thomas and Ron. Do you think we go after Josh Jacobs if Raiders rescind his tag? Go Broncos and buck them all, especially the haters. Ron, I'm going to let you start off with that and see what you say.
I don't think so. I honestly think that they're going to come to some sort of deal agreement. Now would we benefit from Josh Jacobs? Sure. He's been a Broncos killer for the past few seasons. So, we'd love to have his running style on this offense, going with Javonte Williams and Samaje Perine. But, at the end of the day, I really think, that they're going to get something done with Josh Jacobs, eventually. So.
Well, yeah, I'm with you, right? I'm with you that if they rescind the tag, do the Broncos need him, right? Yes, he can help. Absolutely. He can help the team, but for the price that they're going to have to pay, do they really need him? And right now they're up against the cap. I mean, they have a little bit of money this year, and I'm sure they can, they always can massage it and whatnot. But from what I saw from Javonte Williams and Samaje Perine, they look good. I don't think they need to bring him in. Now, will they? I don't know. I don't know. It's a good question because he's a dang good running back, but is he going to want? He's not going to sign the franchise. He wants a deal. He wants a longer deal, and he wants more money. And I don't know if the Broncos can really afford that. I mean, I think they have 7.7 million. I'm looking at Spot right now. For the top 51, and otherwise they're pretty cash strapped at the moment. So, like I said, they can massage it, but I don't know if they're going to go after it.
Yeah, and I'm going to harp back. Again, he would help, but do we really need him? Because you're right, Thomas. What I've been hearing from camp in regards to Samaje Perine has been nothing but like great things. And I think it's kind of what the Broncos envisioned. Just a well-rounded back, catching passes out of the backfield. I heard the blocking ability has been on full display. The running style is great. So, pairing him with Pookie, I just think we are good. And now, Pookie does look good, because obviously that was a big concern coming from that injury. But now that we've seen Pookie look like the Pookie we know, I just don't, I just don't see a need for him. Again, would he help? Yes. But, I think we're okay at running back. And then McLaughlin as well. Thomas, McLaughlin looks really good.
Yeah, he does.
Yes.
He's the third back right now. I don't care what anybody else says. From what I saw and what everybody else is seeing there in camp, McLaughlin has pretty much locked up that third running back spot. He looked great, hit the crease quickly, explosive, great complement, change of pace type of back to the two kind of power running back guys. Like I said, I think I tweeted out, he's going to have some sort of major drop in what he's doing for someone to leap over him in the depth chart. That's how he's really captivated the coaches and the people at camp. And I'll tell you, there's a few undrafted free agents who may make this team this year. There is a wide receiver out there, and there might be a couple others out there that sneak onto the practice squad, maybe in the secondary, or sneak onto the team as an undrafted free agent rookie that gets in there. I'm looking at 4. There's 4 possibilities. So I would at least 1 or 2 of those are going to make it. So we got Lawrence Rivera coming in saying, "What up, guys? I think our wide receivers are not as good as Seattle's. When I was there yesterday, Russ was horrid on his deep ball, and all he could hit was slants in with cutouts, and we could not even generate offense." Yeah, he's had some bad days for sure. There's no doubt about it. I'm going to say that I think Cortland Sutton, from what I see out there, is looking more like his old self than he has the last couple of years. Yep. He looks like he is aggressive going after the ball. He's fighting hard for the ball. I think he's kind of getting back to that. I'm expecting him to be much better than we've seen. Mm-hmm. And then, everybody's talking about Jerry Jeudy, his breakout season. And Jerry Jeudy is definitely going to be a focal point in this offense. So whether or not they're better than Seattle's, I don't know. I mean, we'll find out this season when the real games start, just how good they are. But I've been impressed with Cortland Sutton. He is also one of my superstars at camp. He's going up against Pat Surtain, and he's out there working hard, making catches, making the contested catches. So I don't know what's going to transpire, but I have much more enthusiasm for both Sutton and Jeudy this season than I have in the past.
Yep. Thank you, Lawrence, for coming in with this comment. Yeah, I can't say that, our wide receivers aren't as good as Seattle's. I mean, only time will tell, right? Once some rubber meets the road, then we can maybe circle back on that. But, to your second point of all he can hit was slants with in cuts. I mean, again, that's part of the offense that Peyton's is running. You have to kind of have to think about it in context of Peyton's offense too, with some of these plays. And, A lot of those quick outs, those slants, that's a staple in Peyton's offense. But when Peyton does ask him, or when he does audible, when Wilson does audible, we check for those deep shots. And to Thomas's point, there are days where he hits some of those deep balls. There are days he doesn't hit. And then goes back to my point of this secondary is stout. So, trying to throw the ball against, the secondary with Surtain and Mathis and Simmons, it's a tough battle. But again, hopefully he can get better. Wilson with the deep ball. Again, we saw that 53-yard bomb today, and that was encouraging. And just building up on that as camp progresses, we should start to see that come back. So.
Absolutely. And we got another Jack Whipfler's coming in asking about Denzel. I think you mean Marvin Mims, the second round draft choice. And we'll just stick with the wide receivers for a while. Marvin Mims had an injury, so he was working back into he when I was out there, he wasn't doing much on offense at all because they're working him back in. But I'll tell you, he looked, other than one bobbled pass or bobbled catch on a punt return, which was a bit surprising to me. He looks way more comfortable back there than anybody else catching those punts. So I would say look for him to be a special teams performer until he kind of gets worked into the offense a little bit. But the reports are he's a great wide receiver, one of the best on the team. His growth has been stunted because he has had that injury for the last 4 or 5 days and working back into it. But like I said, he looks comfortable. We'll see how he does with the offense as he starts to get worked back in. But I will tell you this, there are some wide receivers that I expected and others, vets that have been on the team that are fighting for their lives right now, sticking around. Because like I said, there is a undrafted free agent wide receiver, Taylor Grimes. He has caught the coach's eye. He does not drop a pass thrown to him, runs good routes, gets open all the time. That I've been talking about him and for a while now. He looks really good. And Brandon Johnson, to my surprise, has really been taking more of the opportunities now that Tim Patrick went down. I actually thought it was going to be Marquez Callaway that really stepped up. I thought he was going to be the fourth or fifth wide receiver, but I'm telling you, players are jumping him on the depth chart. He's going to have to really start performing in order to stick around, even though he has experience in Sean Payton's offense. He's fighting for his job right now hard. Yeah. He has to really come through.
Yeah, and Peyton did say when he was in podium this week about Lil Jordan Humphrey and Marquez Callaway that just because they're familiar with the offense doesn't mean they're sure for a spot on this roster. And he said that they still have to get acclimated. He wants to see a little bit more from them, so that can kind of explain that. But yeah, Thomas, Taylor Grimes, I've heard that name a lot on Twitter this week, and saw some video, and I'm like, man, this guy looks good. This guy looks good. And so that's also encouraging. But yeah, I'm with you on the actual comment that he made on Mims. It's kind of hard with out kind of nursing that injury, but what we did see a little earlier with those those punt returners, he'll kind of take that position over for sure.
Absolutely. Yep. And we got Howie freaking Day coming in. Thank you for being here. Appreciate coming in with a big Facebook star. So we really, really appreciate that. Thanks for being here tonight, Howie. Of course, as always, your time is more valuable than anything. So thank you for being here on your Saturday night. We're going to keep talking about camp, right? We're going to be talking about Russell Wilson, keep talking about some of these other surprise players maybe that I saw out there. I'm going to switch to edge group a little bit, right? And again, Howie, thank you so much for coming in. The edge group I'm kind of surprised, actually. Jonathan Cooper has been putting together a great training camp, and so is Nick Bonito. Nick Bonito, we all want him to take that next step because he's a second-round pick. He has been looking great, and I'm talking about not just against second-teamers or third-teamers. He he really he's kind of schooled McGlinchey on a play, set him up, did a counter, and was into the quarterback's face in a flash on one play. Great. Same thing against Garrett Bowles, Cam Fleming. I mean, he has shown better pass rushing skills, much better pass rushing skills than he did last year. And Jonathan Cooper is a man on fire out there. He's been doing really good. And then the day I was there on Friday, Christopher Allen finally started to show some life. He was struggling in camp. There's no doubt about it. He's been pretty quiet, but he's really come on. So, and we still haven't seen Baron Browning. He's on the PUP list.
Yeah.
So if they can stay healthy, this edge group can be pretty solid. Ron, what are your thoughts?
I agree. If they stay healthy, and you're right, Christopher Allen. That was one name on my list, specifically on the passing drills I've seen. He's caused disruption. I think yesterday was a good day for him for sure. And yeah, Jonathan Cooper has shined. I've seen plays where he's been a disruptor as well. So, and then Nick Benito. Now, I guess I do have a question for you, Thomas. How has he looked? Have we seen any like run plays where Nick Benito's there? How has he looked kind of stacking up against the run?
Yeah, it's a little tough to tell because they're not doing, they're not going full out. I mean, they are definitely blocking and everything, but you're not going to be able to see what he can really do setting the edge until the scrimmage. But from my perspective, he looks like he added a little bit of strength. I mean, the way he's able to kind of push, have some power when he's doing his pass rush. I mean, we'll notice more when Arizona, they go to Arizona. He's probably going to get quite a bit of playing time, and we'll see if he can set that edge. That's still a worry, right? That's still one worry. But as a pass rush specialist, he looks. I mean, if he can come in as a pass rush specialist early on, like he's going to wreak some havoc. So I'm pretty excited about it. But yes, that was the other knock on him is he needs to get stronger and be able to set the edge of the running game. And so far, we're not, it's to be seen, I guess. And they haven't really, they're not showing their hand when the fans are there and whatnot. And the media can't say anything. So it's kind of tough, but if they do a scrimmage or when we see preseason, I think you'll see more from Benito than we have in the past.
Great. Yep. And we got Michael Davis coming in here with that Benito comment. Thank you, Michael. He says Benito heard the criticism. Good on him. Yes. Right. I think he did hear it loud and clear, Michael, and he's been in the lab working and all good reports from camp. So again, hopefully he, continues to just improve because we need to make sure he lives up to that second round value that the Broncos got for him. So yeah.
That's right. We got Patrick Wiltsey coming in. Aloha, gents. My daughter asked me when the next Broncos game was. I told her next Friday. She said, finally. Fear the stash. All right. Well, thank you for coming in, Patrick. Appreciate you being here. It's lovely to see you, and I'm glad that your daughter is as excited as we all are to see some real football. I mean, we had it. We had a Hall of Fame game, so we have had some football, and there's more to come. But hopefully, we'll see a really good game out there. With the backups, it's not going to be a great game, but a good showing by the Broncos and how they play. How they go about their business on Friday. So thank you for coming in.
It'll be good to kind of look at the evaluation. Right. These games aren't just an evaluation period. We kind of get to see on the field. And, just a minute on the Hall of Fame game, how ironic. I think the Jets scored 16 points on Nathaniel Hackett's offense. So
that's funny to say that. Absolutely. Because that's what they were averaging last year. Very good. Very good. That was awesome. I'm glad you picked up on that. I didn't even think about it, but that's true. Great. Phil McLaughlin coming in with Facebook Star. So thank you for the support, Phil. Again, we appreciate it. Thank you for being here. And he says, Thomas, how are you looking on special teams and kicking? Well, I'll tell you there has been significant emphasis on special teams and teaching it. And when I was out there, I was watching how they went about their business on special teams and really the emphasis on getting it right, teaching it the right way. I mean, the kicking game's been pretty good. I mean, it's hit or miss. It's hard to tell for sure. But, today Brett Fry, I came in and hit a bunch of them, a bunch of field goals, right? And missed one long one, but hit another long one. So from my perspective, they look like they're, doing their job. in the kicking game. I think it's going to be a competition, really. I mean, everybody kind of thought it was Brett Maher's job to lose, but Elliott Fry's not going away. So he had a good day today. I think the special teams in general it's just going to be much better because they're putting more emphasis on it, right? They know that the Broncos special teams last year was horrific. And even before that's been pretty bad. They haven't had a good special teams really for a while. So they're putting a lot of emphasis on it. And they brought in 3 coaches, right? 3 special teams coaches to make sure that that unit is better. And I've seen some, they've been mixing in a lot of players to see who performs well in kickoff coverage, punt team, and stuff like that. So they're really starting to mix it up. And the guy I was just talking about, Taylor Grimes, he's been out there catching punt returns. So they're trying to get those. They're trying to see who fits the best, right? And so far, I've liked what I've seen, but again, you're not going to be able to see anything of promise until you get into the preseason a little bit and get to see, when the line, because they're not flying down the field and hitting somebody, that's catching a punt. They just can't do that. So they aren't doing that. So we'll see what happens. And I like to pay particular attention in preseason to the special teams players, because that's how you make the squad. When you're one of those on bubble guys, if you can play special teams really well, and you can contribute in other spots, you're going to make the team over somebody who may be a little bit better on the offense, but can't play special teams very well. It's an emphasis. So
yep.
We got Albert Knoppers coming in saying, "Sup, guys? It looks like the offense had a good day of practice." Yeah, they sure did. And they needed it, right? They really did need it. It's been the defense has been having their way with the offense, and in particular, Zach Allen. He has been a wrecking crew out there. Single man wrecking crew, really, because he has. We kind of made the comment, Luke and I was like, are they going to have to take him out just so they can try and execute these plays? Because he has looked incredible. I saw him push Cam Fleming easily 3-4 yards in the backfield. It looked like without much effort. So it's a good day of practice, but Zach Allen's been having his way out there.
Yeah. Thank you, Albert.
We've got Gary Palmer coming in with a big super chat. Thank you so much, Gary. Thank you for being here. Saying hi, Thomas and Ron. Coming in late. Did you talk about the bomb Russ threw today? Good, go Broncos and buck 'em. Well, Ron, we did.
Yes.
What did you have to say about it?
Yeah, again, Gary, thank you for coming in with that 1999 super chat. We appreciate you as always, my man. And yeah, we did discuss that at the top of the show, and it was a beauty, Gary. It was it was a beauty to Judy down the field, and hopefully we'll see more of that to come. And if you also listened to the top of the show, we were talking about the offense not being as consistent in camp, and with Russell's deep ball that kind of hasn't been there, but we'll start to see more of these plays kind of being baked in as they give Russell more freedom to audible, and Russell kind of uses those deep passes and such, things that he can do well. You'll start to see that more baked in. But yeah, it was a beautiful pass, Gary. It was just a bomb. It was a bomb.
Yeah. It was right on the money. I mean, it was perfectly thrown. And he had a little bit of a separation from Mathis, but not much. I mean, it was just a great ball. So, but I'll tell you, everyone's talking about it. We said that early on, Gary, that everyone's talking about that deep bomb. But he put together other pass plays that were good as well today. So, and he's like I said earlier, he's progressing, getting a little bit better. So I think what you'll see when they can really start going up against opponents and real hitting, can really get the running game going the way they want to, with running with power and really, really emphasizing that, you're going to see the offense start to click even more, because this offense is going to have a lot of running elements to it. That's why they brought in the offensive lineman that they did. That's why they went out and got another running back who runs with power. You're going to see, and that's going to help the offense even more. It doesn't hurt to go against these great defensive players that are coming out for the Broncos. I mean, the good secondary, the Zach Allen and some of these edge rushers are playing really well. So, as they have to play against these better players, it's just going to help them coming into the season. But I really want to see what happens in preseason this week coming up on Friday, see how the running game really helps that passing game, because they need it. They really do.
Yes,
And
definitely.
I just want to go back. Harold was talking about Harold Jean was talking about Benito putting on some weight and getting stronger. So thanks for coming in saying that, Harold. He definitely needed strength and technique. And from what I saw technique. He did look a little thicker to me in practice, but I couldn't tell. It's quite a ways. I mean, the fans and the media are all sitting at the same place, quite a ways back, and you don't get to see everything, but yeah, that's a great, I'm glad that because he needed it. So
Yeah, that's good. Thomas, I want to ask about, I guess, switching gears a bit, tight end. And
yeah,
I know for Greg Dulcich, I know near to the beginning of camp, he had more of a quiet camp, really wasn't showing out too much. But I believe it was yesterday, um, he kind of came on the scene with, kind of catching everything that came his way. We saw the route running prowess come, on the field. So, yeah, just kind of allude to how you see this tight end
yeah.
battling camp being filled out.
I would have said before the last couple of days, I would have said that, and he still is. Adam Troutman is the number one guy right now.
Okay.
He's catching. He's looked really good. Russell Wilson had a really good rapport with him, throwing in the ball. He's getting open. He looked much better than the rest of the group. Now, yeah, like I said, Dulcich had like you said, Dulcich had a quiet camp, kind of struggling. But the last few days, he's really put together some good practices back to back, right? So he's been able to get open much better, catching the ball. So I think his progress is promising. And if he continues to have this, maybe he will, get ahead of Troutman on the depth chart. But I'll tell you, those two clear cut are going to be on the team. Manhurts, his blocking prowess is awesome, but I'll tell you, he's looked better than Alberto out there catching the ball. I mean, and I saw a play where Alberto dropped the ball, and then the very next play they threw it past to Manhurts and he caught it. So
Yeah.
when your blocking guy is catching the ball, although I'll say Alberto had a little bit better day today, from what I understand.
Okay.
So I don't want to bury him, but he hasn't looked very good. To me, it's Troutman, Dulcich, and Manhurts. And then if they're going to keep a fourth, it's kind of a mix in who's going to grab that fourth spot. But yeah, I loved what I saw from Troutman. He's looked really good.
It's good. It's good to hear.
And there's a couple players that we really haven't been able to see, which is kind of a bummer. Jail Skinner, I really wanted to see him out there, but I think they're kind of taking it easy, getting him back into it. I didn't really see him out there at all. Playing. So that's a bummer. And like I said before, Marvin Mims nursing that injury hasn't really been out there. So it's, it would be nice to see them hopefully play a little bit more come preseason, right? To see what they can really do. Cause those draft picks are, they need to find a couple gems in those later rounds. And speaking of later round gems, Forsyth I didn't see him out there at all.
Wow.
The center, Lloyd Cushenberry. I know everybody's been not liking that they didn't go get a center, but he actually looked pretty good. I mean, I'm not going to say he's like an all pro or anything like that, but compared to what, he had been, Cushenberry looks pretty solid, and he's being backed up by Wattenberg. Kyle Fuller's playing left guard as a backup left guard. So it's only Wattenberg really pushing him for the center spot. And I haven't seen Forsyth out there at all. And maybe I missed him. It's sometimes hard to see, but if he's running with the fourth team at best. So that's kind of how the offensive line is shaping up, how you kind of thought it was going to.
Yeah. Yep. And that's good that Cushenberry is having at least a good showing or solid showing so far in camp. So that I know a lot of fans were kind of worried. So far, so good, at least.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's hard to judge, right? Because like I said, they really have only been together for a few days because McGlinchey was out. He had was off for personal reasons. And so you didn't have your whole complement, and Garrett Bolzey kind of given him a lot of days, to come back, here and there. So the full complement wasn't there, and they were struggling. There's no doubt about it, but they're starting to have better days now that they're getting back together. I do worry a lot about the offensive tackle depth. From what I saw from Isaiah Prince and Cameron Fleming, wasn't good. I did not like what I saw. I actually was hoping to see more of I was hoping they'd give Alex Palczewski a little bit more time with the twos, maybe just to see what he could do. Because when I was out there watching him, he was really good. He got into a stance good. He wasn't leaning on people. He would get into his pass set. He's still rookie, so he made some mistakes, but had some solid reps out there. So I was kind of hoping to see them give him a little bit more of a shot. But I'm a little worried about the depth, especially at tackle for sure on the offensive line. We got Jack Whipfler coming back in to ask about Riley Moss. Yeah, I didn't see him. He was hurt. He had to have surgery. So he just wasn't out there. And unfortunately, hopefully he can heal up and come back. There's been some other names out there that were doing pretty well in as a corner. I mean, Damari Mathis, they're he's looking pretty good. Coming off what he did, with the Broncos last year, he's still looking pretty good. Has pretty good coverage, but there's a now I'm going to look up his name because I think it's McMillan, but I just want to make sure I get it right.
Jaleel McMillan. Yep.
Yeah, he looks good. I mean, he's kind of a surprise to me. He's looking good too. So I mean, Riley Moss needs to get back in there in order to be able to make some noise this season, because there are some cornerbacks that are stepping up for sure. Yeah. While he's nursing back there, and he can't help it. He's injured, yeah. So it's not his fault, but yeah, he wasn't out there at all.
And then another question for you in regards to my favorite player, Drew Sanders. So I've been hearing he's been looking the part.
Yeah. See, I got to push back on that.
Okay.
He's looking the part athletically, right? I mean, when you get him out in coverage, he looks pretty good. But when I saw him out there, he wasn't playing a whole lot. But when I saw him out there on 11-on-11, when he kind of came in with the second team, he looked okay. He looks tall, but he looks lean. I think he needs to add some weight to solidify that inside linebacker position. You get a little bit more bulk, because I mean, he got I can't remember who it was. I think it was Wattenberg, put him in the dirt on a play, right? So, he's a rookie, so I don't want to be down on him, but he's got development to do. Part of that, I think, he needs to get a little bit more bulk if he can play that inside linebacker position a little bit better. But I think he's still going to have a good time out there playing, in a versatile role where he kind of gets moved around. And I think that's what they kind of envisioned for him that first year, is get him into coverage a little bit more. But if he's in there when they're running power right at him, he might struggle a little bit. But it's like I said, it was he wasn't out there a whole lot when I was there, so I can't judge everything based on that few times that I did see him play. But his athleticism is definitely showing up out there for sure.
Good. And then I want to grab this one from Todd from earlier. Thank you, Todd, for coming in. He asked, did the Broncos sign any D linemen? Yes. Forrest Merrill, defensive tackle. I think he was on the Chargers. He had 121 tackles, 10 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. And that's good that we went out and grabbed someone. I'm almost thinking we need another one, at least another one or two for depth on the defensive line.
Yeah.
But at least we did get one so far. So
what I've been saying is they need more experienced depth, right? But and this is the thing. This is what I said when I was out there at camp. I said their starters are looking really good. The defensive line's have been playing really well, but you can't play them every single snap, right? Yeah. Those starters can't just always be out there. You've got to rely on your rotation to keep them fresh. And their rotation right now is not that good. They need, and I'm going to tell you, they signed Merrill, right? He's got some experience. He played in 2021. I don't think he played any last year. He might've been hurt or something like that. He's not that experienced guy that they really need. Now, maybe when Mike Purcell comes back, it'll be okay. But even before Wazirike got suspended, right, I was saying that they needed to go out and get somebody else to kind of fill in there. But I think Lancaster looked pretty good. I mean, I just said, Zach Allen looks great. DJ Jones looks really good. And then they've got a mix of people that they're trying to kind of rotate in that, maybe not. I don't know. But I was hoping that they would go out and get somebody more experienced.
Yeah,
You know,
bring back Shelby. Hakeem Hicks, I think, is still out there. And there are a
yeah,
few. There are a few names that have experience that the Broncos, and I know they brought in Shelby for the visit. I don't think he also visited with the Browns, but yeah, more household names, guys with more experience should definitely be helpful. That's what I'm wanting as well. But we'll see what happens.
yeah.
Oh, and we got Naj Altaf coming here. Thank you, Naj. We appreciate you. He says, "Hey, brothers, I watched the 2020 Wilson highlights and didn't see anything he can't do now. Peyton is working hard to restore his confidence as well as a confidence in the team. I see the culture changing. Good things coming." Yes, Naj. I agree. I agree 100%. And I watch a lot of old Wilson highlights. I think his rookie year in Seattle, I go back watching those highlights. And you're right. I mean, the things he did in Seattle, I mean, he can still do them at age 34. It's just a matter of now you have an experienced head coach coming in and trying to marry his scheme with what Wilson does well. And so that's where that installation period comes into play. That's why it's even imperative now that, the offensive coordinator and Sean Payton and Russ are aligned so we can see Peyton's scheme and we could also see what Russell does well, right? What makes Russell Wilson so exciting are these off-script plays, right? Moving to the right, moving to the left, and dropping those beauties as the beauty we saw today, the 53-yard. So I'm with you. I think with that installation, and of course, not just with Wilson, with the entire team, Naj. There's a whole culture shift. The team, the players are loving what Peyton is bringing. Not only Peyton, but their position coaches as well. Just bringing that education and that aggression that this team has been lacking for so long.
Yeah, they're buying in, I think, to Peyton's plan, right? I could see it out there. The one key that I wanted to really look for, because I talked about it, is how the team is coming together, the team camaraderie. What are they like when the chips are down, or how are they going to really respond as a team when you're in game and you need that? And so far, I've seen some really good developments. Like, for example, Henry Bird, a guy that's, undrafted free agent that may or may not make the team, just flat out put Frank Clark on his back, right? Frank Clark's an experienced guy. And instead of jumping up, being upset by some guy that may not make the team, just did it great. But he just, he slapped him on the head, and they talked about it, and it was, they all congratulated each other. It was, it's a camaraderie thing. And Russell Wilson ran out, from the crowd on a great play, and, was congratulating one of the players. I mean, you see this camaraderie starting to come together. It's not, that's important. So I think I'm pretty sure they're buying in, and I know Russell Wilson is buying in. He wants to be better, right? He wants to get back to his old self. He knows that what he put out on the field wasn't good last year. He's been putting in the work. I think his, I think dropping that weight has helped him. He can move around a little bit better, but the offense is going to be different. They're going to use the run. They're going to do a lot of quick throws, get the ball out quick, and then, then hopefully that offensive line, when it's time to do the deep ball, they'll give him more time. So that's what I'm hoping for. But yeah, like I said, I've been saying this for a long time. I looked at the analytics too, and these quarterbacks who have a slump, and it's not due to a major injury, tend to bounce back. So I'm looking for a bounce back. But thanks, Naj, for the comment and for the super chat, man. We really appreciate it.
Yep, thank you, Naj. And then we got Michael Davis coming in with the $4.99 super chat. Thank you, sir. Coming back in, we appreciate you. He says, "Gents, Dalton Risner is still an available free agent. The league saw what we all saw. Powers is a massive upgrade at guard. Go Broncos." Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think everybody saw the same thing, Michael. You're right that Dalton Risner just was just not cutting the mustard. And we saw now with Ben Powers, again, we saw that at Baltimore. I was following him ever since the Baltimore days, and we knew what he was going to bring, especially in this running game. So have you seen much? I know you've seen probably good things there at Camp Thomas in regards to Powers, and I know you're a big fan of him as well. I guess what have you? I know the offensive line kind of still trying to find their groove, but I guess what have you seen? I guess in camp from Powers.
Yeah, I mean, the offensive line kind of struggled, like I said, but, Risner's available for a reason.
Yeah.
I mean, he hasn't played that good, had that, kind of blow up on the sideline. Who knows what the reason is? But yeah, Powers is a massive upgrade. Uh, once the, um, once that, they start to work as a team a little bit better, start to get more comfortable with each other because they've only played together for, I think this is the 5th day that maybe they've all been together.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're going to see it a lot more. So, yeah, I can't say that he looked good or bad. He looked pretty good. It's going to take when they start to do the scrimmage to see him start to shine, when they're really powering through the running game and things like that. Phil McLaughlin, thank you for coming in. I hope you can hear us. I know we're having a little bit of technical difficulties. Some people can hear us, some people cannot. Phil, you can't hear us. Maybe you can hear this after the fact and come back and listen to it. But he's asking, how's Miners looking? I love Miners. Miners looked good. I mean, he's looked as good as the rest of the offensive line has, right? They did struggle, but they've gotten a lot better. But again, like Powers, the offensive line really, it takes a little while to gel, and also it takes a little more physicality for them to really show up because they're not going full speed ahead, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're in pads, but it's not a scrimmage. They haven't scrimmaged yet. So I think Miners, if he realizes his potential, he's going to be a very, very solid offensive lineman. I like him. I think he's going to be good. I don't know if you have a different perspective, Ron.
I don't know. I'm a big Miners fan. Him with Powers, that this running attack is going to be epic, in my opinion. I see it. But you're right. It's I think just with the offensive line and, this installment period, it's probably hard to get an evaluation overall. I mean, we can pick out individual players, as we know with Powers, Miners. We know kind of what they are. But I think to kind of get the best evaluation, we'll kind of see these preseason games take fold. We'll see how this line looks. And, at the first, quarter of the season, we'll see it from there. But I would imagine from what I've heard, the belly looks, as Michael mentioned it, the belly looks
Don't
good.
Say the belly anymore.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, it's, I'm excited to see them in preseason, right? I'm excited to see the offensive line in preseason. I think it's going to be better than what you saw at camp as they kind of come together. Bowles needs to step it up. All of them should step it up a little bit. Bowles especially. I think he'll be okay. Coming back from an injury, he's got to work his way in. He's missed a few days, but overall, I think the offensive line will look better. Hopefully, they look better on Friday when they go to Arizona to play. So we'll see. But anyway, it's getting to the top of the hour, right? Thank you all for coming in. I just want to say thank you for all the support. Don't forget, follow us. Follow Ron White on Twitter, Ron White NFL. Follow me, Thomas Hall NFL. We're always down to chat football. You don't have to wait till Saturday night to talk to us. Just hit us up on Twitter. We'll definitely talk to you. And check out some of the training camp articles that we have up. There's several of them up. Like I said, Luke Patterson's been out there every single day. He's writing up what he sees every single day. So there's a ton of information out there from Luke. I have a few articles up as well. Check those out at milehighhuddle.com. And, the other shows are going to be coming at you too. I mean, we've got the Huddle Up podcast is coming out, it's Mile High Huddle podcast now. It used to be Huddle Up podcast.
Yeah.
I still think I call it that, but they're coming at you Sunday night with some more information. And then Luke and I will be back on Wednesday. So look for us for more training camp news. And then, of course, on Friday, my show, Legends of Mile High, where people have commented that they want the cowboy hat from camp. I don't know if you guys saw my cowboy hat on to block the sun, but I'm going to have to start rocking the cowboy hat, I guess, on Legends of Mile High. So,
and I heard you had some boots to go with that too, or how was the whole outfit?
I didn't wear any cowboy boots. No, I was wearing the hat because it's hot out there, man. Yeah. You got to keep the sun off you. There's people out there that were in tank tops, and I'm like, man, how are they not getting fried? I know they got sunscreen on, but it gets hot out there. Luckily, there was some breeze the first few days or in the morning, and then it had rained the night before, like massive thunderstorms. The field was soaking wet. It wasn't great, but did make for a little cooler camp in the morning. So
That's good.
But anyway, we are going to sign off tonight. Don't forget to catch us next Saturday. And again, check out the other shows. But so thank you all very much for your time tonight. Appreciate. We both appreciate it. So
yes, we do.
Go Broncos.
Go Broncos. Thanks, guys.